Hello again, welcome back to another video, and if you've never seen me before, my name is Michelle. Welcome to my channel. I'm excited to dive into another message for you today. This is actually inspired by a little short message that I had posted on my other platforms, TikTok and Instagram, about the idea of apocalypsis. And the story behind it, since I didn't get to post that here on YouTube, is that earlier this morning I was organizing my desk. I brushed up against my card collection over here, and this card is the one that fell out, and I didn't think anything of it at the time. I just put it back, shoved it in the middle of the stack of cards, and went about my day. And then the first video later on, when I opened my Instagram, was the performance of Isabella Merced singing her song Apocalypsis. And so obviously I am of the belief that there are no coincidences, so took this as a divine sign and kind of sat with this energy for a moment, looked up exactly what this word means, and came to find out that, this is the Greek root derived to create the word apocalypse. And really the energy behind this, or the meaning behind the word, is all about the veil being very thin, truths being revealed, painful truths being revealed, and kind of bringing light to these areas, and actually is kind of the initiation of revolution and for things to really change. Apocalypse, it's like the ending of something, but that births the beginning of another. And so I felt inspired to do more of a full-length reading on this, just because I feel like this energy is so important to tap into at this time. I had mentioned that we're experiencing this on a collective level. Literally the entire world is experiencing this, the entire earth, where we're noticing, because we have access to everything now, right? Like through social media, we have access to more information than any human has ever had access to before on this earth. And it can be very overwhelming. And of course, we are constantly flooded with negativity, with fear, with all of the horrific and truly, truly horrific things that are happening all across the world. And this is not to say like those things aren't really happening, or, oh, pay no mind to those things, because they absolutely are. But there's something about this bringing to light something that is necessary for our continued evolution and enlightenment. And I understand too that this is something that we are experiencing also on an individual level throughout our lives. So I kind of want to touch on that as well, but more so on the collective energy. Again, I wanted to just provide some comfort to anybody who has been fearful about what the future holds, about, having, like, if you have kids. I know that's been a topic of conversation with a lot of my other parent friends, of like, trying to raise a child in this world with so much division, so much difficulty, so much challenge. These structures that we thought were supporting us are being illuminated to actually not have our best benefit in mind. And so again, it's a painful process that we're undergoing right now, but I do believe fully that what is going to be on the other side of this is going to be this kind of heightened awareness, and us moving more into that term of like the new earth, if that is something that you've heard of or resonate with, where it's not to say that, okay, all of our challenges are suddenly poofed and gone, but there's something about the majority of us as a human species coming to an understanding and a level of enlightenment where we can recognize and take our power back away from the structures that are constantly trying to pull away from us, constantly trying to, again, pour fear into us, make us feel powerless, continue to manipulate us, all of these things. So I think we're in a very pivotal time right now as a collective, and that's why these things are coming out now. And again, it's a very painful process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, just with as long as human species have been existing. These are things that are so deep rooted in our ancestry. And again, these structures kind of there has to be a light shown on the darkness in order for the darkness to finally be cleared out. And I was hearing When Darkness Finally Meets the Light, which I think is from K-pop Demon Hunters, which talks a lot about these themes as well. That's been like a huge phenomenon going around as well, and such a beautiful message, beautiful song lyrics that really talk to this also. So if you have resonated with that movie or want to check that out, I highly, highly recommend. But again, just want to provide some hope, provide some optimism that while things, yes, feel a bit scary at this time, what's actually happening is this unveiling of truth. And again, more on an individual basis for each of us here, we may be seeing this in our lives as far as truths being revealed within our relationships. Okay, certain relationships that we are being awoken to maybe aren't actually benefiting us. I know that a lot of us experience this within our families, within close friendships. There are just things that are coming out to the surface that maybe before we used to turn a blind eye to, but now it is so apparent that we can no longer stay blinded to these truths. And so I just want to encourage that if that's where you're at as well, know that this is part of your evolution. Know that this is part of the process in, again, reaching a higher consciousness. And I think that we are headed in a really beautiful direction, but of course there is some challenge along the way. So let's get some more information here about what it is you need to know about this energy. I have some decks set aside. So obviously starting with this Apocalypsis card here as kind of our primary energy to get some more information on. And if you're interested in a personal reading with me, I do have those currently available. This is somewhat of a similar format. I typically pull from 2 Oracle decks, 2 Tarot decks. And you can also check out my Meet My Inner Child healing activation if you're looking for ways to connect with your inner child. It has a blend of energy healing, affirmations, as well as journaling prompts to assist you in that connection. But let's get some more information again for the collective, for the person who is watching this. What would you like them to know about this energy? Okay, got quite a lot of these tea leaves falling out, so let's see where we start. Okay, so we have Claw, be careful, do not take risks, as well as Mule, someone is extremely stubborn and unwilling to change. You have Bear, danger, especially in money matters. Someone will try to make you do something against your will with Club. Dagger, fear, worries, tense situations. Desk, pay attention to your work. Ram, a stubborn, aggressive person. And then we have Bowl, plenty of material things. Tulip, with great passion. And Jug, lighthearted, carefree time. As well as Vase, with secret admirer. Okay, quite a lot of energies here, so let's break it down. So right off the bat, I think this is reiterating a little bit about what I was talking about. You know, these things are so deeply rooted in our ancestry, in our bloodlines. I'm picking up a lot of like ancestral energy through these initial cards. And also, I think a lot of us are awakening to truths around the way in which we work, the way in which we put up with certain things within our workplaces, or how we make a living, how we maintain our finances. And I do feel like a lot of us are carrying the brunt of our ancestors. So this can be a very heavy task. This is something that, again, we inherited. Okay, we didn't ask for these things. We didn't ask for this kind of weight and this burden to carry, yet we are the ones responsible for healing it. And so a lot of you may resonate with being like generational curse breakers. But there's something about, again, this energy that is trying so hard to convince you to stay the same, to stay in these structures, to stay in these belief systems, to stay with the family, and because we're blood, you know, you have to stay with us regardless of the way that they're treating you, you know, these kinds of like old-fashioned, old-school beliefs that most of us are awakening to realize, like, oh, actually, just because you're blood, you still need to be respectful to me, or just because you're my employer doesn't mean that I have to literally be abused and be a slave to your, you know, productivity or whatever it may be. There's a huge awakening that we're experiencing now. And I think the main message coming through initially here is that by you taking that power and you recognizing that you are deserving of abundance, that you are deserving of living a passionate, fulfilled life, that is what's shifting this paradigm here. You are breaking cycles from your ancestors, okay? People that came before you that didn't have the courage or didn't have the knowledge or access to information to help them awaken to that truth. And so they fell into certain systems. They were a cog in the wheel. Maybe they worked so hard until they passed. You know, these are kind of the energies that as a society and as like the world has kind of viewed us as being just like a number within our workplaces, or again, you know, making excuses for the way that our close relationships treat us. There was a lot of like manipulation in those areas as well. And so I think you are successfully moving away from this, but it's causing kind of like a prickly, sticky energy. Okay, with the Claw and the Club, it's kind of like these are the energies that keep trying to keep you where you've been, tell you, no, it's not safe to take that risk. No, it's not safe to go in that direction. No, it's not safe for you to go after your dreams. And your dreams can look like so many different things. I was being given a few examples because I'm obviously on this journey, providing these messages. I know that I'm well on my way to doing something of this sort full time. I'm very open to what that looks like. But at the moment, I do still work a full-time corporate job. I have a family to provide for. And so that is something that I am still kind of holding on to at this time. But I went through so many lessons around my career and my finances that I finally feel like I've passed a lot of those lessons, which is why I am confident that the job that I'm in now is going to be my last corporate job before I'm able to step fully into my purpose work. And for a corporate job, I'm very, very grateful for the one that I have. It's super flexible, has a great team, all of those things. But I came from a background of literally slaving over my work, constantly working overtime, constantly coming home crying, stressed out, carrying my work with me, carrying the burdens with me, because I come from a lineage that believed that you had to work hard in order to be successful, and that it also wasn't meant to be enjoyable. And so that was a lot of the unlearning, the unshedding that I've had to do in order to finally get to this place where I can recognize, no, I do deserve to live live in a way that, yes, provides me material things, which you are destined for, by the way, but also in a way that is fulfilling to me, that feels good to me. I also grew up being told I needed to be a nurse my whole life because I'm Filipino. So any of my other Filipinos there know that that is something that is sort of just expected of us. Never had any interest in that, was always meant to, always felt called to being seen or helping people. Those are two areas that throughout my childhood, throughout my early adolescence, I was always drawn to either creative things or a way of helping people, psychology, these types of things is what I was really drawn to, but I was constantly told, no, that's not realistic, that's not sustainable, you're not going to be successful in that. And so again, these are the kinds of things, and I'm sure as I'm saying these things, you're thinking of ways in which you have been conditioned to be fearful of taking chances on yourself, taking chances on the type of life that you want to live. But again, I do feel like that is what's being lifted off of us now. The veil is thinning. The illusions are finally coming to light, where it's oh, I've spent my whole life up to this point, or maybe this is something that you came to terms with years ago, but it's you have this awakening truly, where you wake up to the fact that I've been living someone else's life, or I've been forced into the belief that my life has to look a certain way, but that was never my decision. I never made those choices, and now you're finally making those choices. And I think that is that authenticity, that truth is what is again elevating you energetically. And I think there are people who are taking notice as well. Okay, but outside of this, we'll definitely dive into some tarot here. I just feel like you have been faced with really difficult personalities. Okay, maybe narcissism has been something you have dealt with. I know I have come across many people along my path in that way, or people who were just incredibly stubborn, just really difficult to work with, difficult to speak to or open up to. But again, these are the energies that you are finally recognizing, oh, I don't actually have to put up with that. I don't actually have to subject myself to those types of behaviors. Again, just because they're my boss, just because they're my family, I can actually set proper boundaries for myself and choose what is going to make me feel good and start moving away from those energies, start closing out those cycles. And so again, by you closing those cycles, by you not settling for less and actually elevating your standards on how people need to act around you, or again, what you're willing to put up with in certain situations, that's what's leading you to major abundance and leading you to more freedom, more play within your life. And this is heavily, heavily encouraged at this time, because again, what we're experiencing on a world level, on a collective level, is going to be impacted by each of us as individuals following along with that energy and that enlightenment, okay? So let's get some tarot though for this collective. What else can they know? What can they hear? Yeah, you're breaking down barriers is what I heard. You're breaking down barriers. You're recognizing the structures that don't actually serve you anymore. And that's what's leading you to this more fulfillment. Okay, so we have the Three of Wands on the bottom here. Card about expansion, perhaps moving, perhaps you're recognizing where you are is no longer serving you. You need to move physically. Perhaps you're feeling called to move into a new place, or even just move outside of your environment. Maybe you're waking up to the fact that you're unhappy and unfulfilled in your workplace. Okay, so take it as it resonates, but that's definitely a card of expansion, expanding past your current environment. Now we have the Tower, the Nine of Wands, but then you also have the Ace of Cups, Six of Pentacles, Three of Cups, the Emperor, and Ten of Cups. Okay, beautiful energy. Now, let's talk about the difficult energies here first. I think this is a collective who has experienced many Tower moments throughout their life. Okay, these moments that come unexpectedly and really shake up your foundations and are often quite painful, quite challenging to maneuver through, because it's kind of like ripping away things that you were holding on to or that you felt comfortable with. And this could be, again, like, oh, you recognize somebody has been lying to you. You recognize that you are in a place that is no longer serving you. You lose your job, you lose your home, you lose things that, again, you're attached to. But the Tower, as scary as it can be for some people, this is the universe, the divine's way of stripping away things that need to be cleared out in order for you to reach your fullest potential, in order for you to expand to greater heights. And so it's kind of clearing out things. It's sort of a card that comes when you're not making the decision for yourself, because perhaps it's too scary, because perhaps, again, you just have too much attachment to it. And so the divine comes in to rip it away from you. But again, what comes from the Tower is endless abundance and blessings. Okay, but again, I just want to send some sympathy to you and empathy, because I understand that this has been a challenging journey. The Nine of Wands is really a card of being a wounded warrior. Struggle after struggle, challenge after challenge. You think you finally get over it, and then it's like, oh, here's another one. Oh, here's another obstacle. Again and again and again, and it's so exhausting and you're so tired. But that's what's ending. This is what's closing out. And what is on the other side of you, again, is total fulfillment and blessings. I think a lot of you too, with this Emperor energy, are coming to terms with certain wounds that you have carried around figures of authority, figures of, maybe this is coming from like father wounds as well, masculine wounds, but people maybe that you've even worked for, or even just like world leaders that you see that perhaps make you realize like, or make you fearful of stepping into positions of power subconsciously or consciously. But a lot of this could be like subconscious, where you see certain ways, whether it's within your family or again, within like like figures, but people who are in authority that are abusing their power, that are not, again, benefiting other people. And so there's maybe a subconscious blockage or fear of you, like, well, if I step fully into my power, if I reach this level of success, does that mean I'm going to automatically become a bad person? Or does that mean I'm going to manipulate people? Or, you know, like suddenly you're going to turn into this person that you're so fearful of becoming. But be encouraged here that we need to be taking our power back, because of the fact that we are not like those people. Because you even have the thought of, oh, I don't want to turn into this type of person, that's already saying so much about your character and the type of leader that you will be when you step fully into this place. You are chosen for whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish, okay? It's very much like chosen one energy, and this can be anything, okay? For some of you, this is, yes, like being in a very high level leadership position. This is being like a mogul, okay? Being some sort of influencer, or somebody who just has a lot of say, a director, somebody who again is like calling the shots within their life. But also this can resonate for somebody who just wants a simple life, who just wants something easy. Perhaps that is still a struggle for you subconsciously, because maybe you come from a place or a lineage that is not used to living in that way. And so you're having to strip all of these things away. But know that whatever your desire is, whatever type of life it is that you want to live, you are chosen for this. It's just about you stepping fully into that embodiment and trusting yourself to take those risks and also be caught by the divine. There is so much beautiful, blessed energy though, with all of this Cups energy, okay, total emotional fulfillment, the divine ready to pour into you, and you're going to celebrate. You know, we had the lighthearted, carefree time. It's like you're going to be celebrating with the people you are meant to celebrate with, meant to be with at this time, being connected to your soul family. But outside of that, it's also like the divine gifting you this opportunity to fall into further generosity, further reciprocation in your environment, in your relationships, feeling so poured into, feeling like you have enough in your cup to then fulfill others as well. I really feel like there's a large part of this collective that really is like a healer type of personality, or just somebody who wants to help others, who wants to support others on their journey. And so there's something about the divine really wanting to pour into you so that you feel fulfilled and that you have more space and energy to, again, fulfill and support others. You are being kind of handpicked, hand-selected in order to live out a certain mission. So if there is something that is calling to you at this time, heavy support from the divine in order to go in that direction. Let's get some more information though. Yeah, divine and ancestral support as well, okay? Because just because our ancestors couldn't accomplish certain things within their time here doesn't mean that they're not supporting us on the other side and kind of urging us to break these cycles that perhaps they couldn't do within their lifetime. Yeah. Page of Pentacles. So again, for a lot of you, this has to do with like starting a new page within your career, within your finances. And again, it could start from you just deciding like, okay, I'm not happy with what I'm doing, or I feel like I'm restricting myself by telling myself that this is as good as it can get. Can it get better? And how can it? And how can you start walking in that direction to start creating those opportunities for yourself, or at least start to be inspired to say, even just energetically, to open yourself up to the possibilities. Because if you're constantly telling yourself, no, this is as good as it can get, or I don't know, I gotta, like, I think everything that I have about my job is good, but maybe there are some things that I don't really like, but I don't know, I don't want to mess up a good thing. But if deep down you don't feel fulfilled, then know that there is something better for you. And that's not to say like leave your job right now, but this is to say that you can start thinking about what does actually fulfill me, and how can I start to open myself up to the limitless possibilities that I'm not even considering at this time. Yeah, so a lot of us are going through like major death, rebirth, okay, especially when it comes to, again, trusting yourself, feeling like an imposter, feeling like you're not actually able to call these things into your life, or that you can't actually make it. You are shedding those skins, you are shedding, again, those past belief systems, so that you can start a new page and you can start walking towards. Okay, I actually had to stop recording for a moment because my camera was overheating. So just picking up where we left off, and I do feel like this energy again is extremely powerful. Like I've been kind of heating up and sweating throughout this whole message myself. So hopefully it's reaching exactly who needs to receive it. But where we left off, again, you have undergone major death and rebirth. You are starting to turn a new page, again, when it comes to how you can be fulfilled and how you can start walking those steps in that direction, start sowing those seeds, and feeling impassioned by this. But there is also a call here for some of you to actually take some rest. So I know that can sometimes feel a little bit contradicting, because you're like, wait, but I thought like I'm, starting a whole new page. I'm trying to move towards my passion, all of these things. Well, yes, that is all true. And I think there is a call for some reflection. There is a call for, again, releasing limiting beliefs, releasing subconscious programming that you may have endured throughout your lifetime that may actually be holding you back. Really quick, I will say that things like subliminals have been super helpful for me. There's some great channels that are free on YouTube to utilize. Subliminals, EFT, the tapping is super helpful as well. In addition to whatever it is that you utilize, if that's like affirmations, energy healing can be a great tool also. But something about really diving deep into the true subconscious core beliefs that may be holding you back at this time. But also taking some rest when you feel called to rest. Okay, this is not something that you need to rush. This is not something that is going to change overnight either. And so be patient with yourself through this process and listen to your body when it feels called to rest, because as you start to bring certain things to the surface, certain truths that are being revealed, this can sometimes feel like a grieving process. This can sometimes feel like you're literally like parts of yourself, and I mentioned this in my last video, like parts of yourself are actually dying. So there is going to be a time for you to actually rest and recuperate. It's kind of like having something surgically removed, okay? You're having like a spiritual surgery in some way, shape, or form, okay? And so after a surgery, when you have a surgery done on your physical body, there is a time of rest. There is a time for you to recuperate so that you can then start to move in this new way after your surgery, feeling hopefully like you've received what you needed from that. But this is kind of a spiritual energetic surgery that you are undergoing. And so again, if you feel called to rest, take that time to rest, seems to be what was coming through for that. Okay, let's get like a last message here for the collective. Can you finish out this message, please? What do they need to know or hear? So this is an extra card in the deck. It's called the Road. Obviously, like Wizard of Oz, follow the yellow brick road energy here. So I think the main message is that you are aligned. You are just being asked to continue to walk this path, continue to follow the path. It's actually paved out for you. Your guides are leaving you breadcrumbs. Your higher self is leading you breadcrumbs. Continue to follow those nudges, continue to follow your intuition, and know that you are reaching your destination through your commitment to this path and to this journey, okay? But we do have the King of Swords and the Nine of Wands that came out. as well as the Moon and the Seven of Swords. So a lot of what you are awakening to, again, may be very painful at times. This may feel like causing a lot of grief within you, a lot of emotions. There's a lot of like emotional purging that you might be experiencing. So if you feel the need to cry, scream, like let out whatever is coming in at this time, because it needs to be removed from your body so that energetically, again, you are more of an open vessel to receive these blessings, to receive this next step of abundance, this next era of abundance. But know that through this process, through you continuing to push through these challenges, continuing to push through this painful awakening that you may be experiencing, it is giving you so much perspective and heightened awareness over not only your path, but again, this is supporting the collective as a whole. There are so many things that are being illuminated for you at this time that were once in the dark. And so don't stray away from this. Don't shy away from this, even if it's painful, even if it's a truth that you really wish you could have lived. Like maybe there will be a moment where you're like, I could have gone my whole life without knowing this because it's so painful. Know that the truth is always going to bring more light into your life. Staying in the darkness, staying, veiled from the truth, staying in this phase of manipulation or lies or trickery that have been along your path throughout your life is not going to get you to where you are destined to go. So again, be gentle with yourself through this process. Reach out to support if you need it. If you feel like you need professional support, I highly encourage that as well. I myself have gone through multiple phases of therapy with psychiatrists. I've gone through multiple phases of like having to go to a healer myself. Healers need healers too. So don't ever be shy about trying to reach out for that support. It's okay if you can't do it on your own. I don't think that we are meant to do this journey alone. It's very scary. It can be overwhelming, but know that again, the more you are peeling back the layers of deception, the more you are peeling back the layers of conditioning, you are falling deeper and deeper into your soul calling, your soul purpose, your soul truth. And that is going to lead you to such beautiful rewards at the end of this journey. And I really do feel like a lot of this collective is kind of in that final stage of stripping things away, finally letting things go, finally laying things to rest so they can finally reach their total fulfillment, total abundance in their reality. You are expanding, you are being moved. The divine sees your efforts, the divine sees what it is that you have been dedicating your time and your energy to, and trust that you will reap those rewards. So I think that is the message here. Worked up a sweat. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss future updates and videos from me. And as always, I am sending you so much love. Mwah!